Leo, what if I told you that tomorrow, Thursday, November 20th, will bring tears of joy not because something ends, but because something finally begins? This isn't a dramatic claim. It's a spiritual checkpoint. Something sacred is aligning in your life, and if you're here right now, it's not random, it's divine timing. You've been walking through a season that required more strength than most people could see. And now, the universe is responding in kind. The breakthrough you've been silently praying for is already on its way. This video isn't just another horoscope reading. It's a message meant to reach a specific soul at a specific moment. And if you've clicked on this one, I truly believe that soul is yours. Tomorrow, on November 20th, something rare opens for you. A portal. A divine alignment between your ruling planet the Sun and the energies of the Judgment card, the Star, and the Wheel of Fortune. These aren't just symbols. They're invitations. They're reminders that there's a light in you that the world needs to see and that you no longer need to apologize for it. Can you feel it? That inner nudge that something is shifting quietly, deeply, beneath the surface? That whisper that says, you're not where you were, but not yet where you're going. If that resonates, then take a breath and ground yourself. You've just stepped into sacred space. And if any part of you has felt that tug, that soft call back to your own center, then I invite you to say it aloud in the comments. I am ready to receive what's mine. Because when you write that with intention, you're not just commenting. You're claiming. You're confirming to yourself and the universe that you're open, aligned, and listening. Let me also take a moment to thank you sincerely. Your presence here matters. Every like, every comment, every subscriber who finds their way to eternal mindfulness is a part of something bigger than just a video. You're helping plant seeds of awakening and healing and allowing this sacred space to grow. So thank you. Truly. From the depth of my soul to yours. Your support fuels this mission and allows us to continue sharing these messages with the hearts that need them most. And trust me, beloved Leo, you will want to stay until the very end of this reading. What the universe is revealing today is unlike anything we've uncovered in a long time. Now tell me, what did your spirit do to draw you here, right now, to this exact moment? Stay with me. Let the next few minutes be a space where you don't have to figure it all out. Just receive. Something beautiful is waiting for you, and it begins now. There comes a moment in every Leo's journey when the noise fades just enough for something quieter, deeper, more true to rise to the surface. And that's what this moment is for you. The cards laid before us today are not random. They're not here to impress or mystify. They are speaking, clearly, directly, and what they're saying is that your soul has been trying to get your attention for a while now. Judgment arrives first, not as a punishment, but as a call, a spiritual nudge asking, are you ready to come home to yourself? Not to the version of you the world expects, not to the roles you've played out of habit, but to the core of who you are when no one's watching. And when this card shows up, it's not just an invitation. It's a threshold. A crossing point. You don't go back after this. You move forward lighter, freer, more you. But the weight you've been carrying has been real. 10 of Wands doesn't just nod at responsibility, it names the exhaustion that builds up when you carry what isn't yours. Expectations, roles, emotional labor, always holding the peace, holding people together. And the thing about Leo, your heart is so big, so full of loyalty, that sometimes you forget it's okay to rest. To not be everything to everyone. To say no without guilt. This card asks you to pause and ask, what am I holding that's not mine to carry anymore? That's where the star quietly enters. A card that doesn't shout, but instead glows with quiet resilience. It doesn't promise fireworks, it promises clarity. Peace. The kind of hope that returns after you've been in darkness long enough to truly appreciate the first flicker of light. This card reminds you that you never really lost your way even when it felt like you did. Your inner compass was simply waiting for the fog to lift. But let's not pretend it's been easy. The Seven of Swords shows us that along the way, there have been wounds that didn't bleed, they whispered. People who smiled to your face and drained you behind your back. Energies that took more than they gave. And you felt it, didn't you? That subtle, sharp pull that made you question your worth. But you didn't collapse. You absorbed. You endured. And now this card says, it's time to stop pretending those betrayals didn't hurt. Call them what they were and step out of their reach. And then, something softer. The Queen of Cups. Her presence is like a memory you forgot you needed. She's not here to fix you, she's here to remind you that you were never broken. She brings the energy of someone, maybe a grandmother, maybe a guide, maybe even a piece of your own future self, whispering love to your weary spirit. You deserve softness, she says. Even in your strength. That softness begins to shift everything. Because the wheel of fortune is turning. And here's what I want you to hear, it's not random. It's not luck. It's alignment. You've outgrown cycles that once held you. This turn is not about getting what you want overnight, it's about being in the right place internally to receive what you've earned energetically. The world starts meeting you where you already are, not where you've had to chase. And then comes the Ace of Swords, sharp, clean, undeniable. This is clarity. A moment of truth. A conversation you've put off. A realization that won't wait. You might cry. You might finally say what needed to be said. But this time, your voice doesn't shake from fear, it shakes from freedom. You're not speaking to be accepted anymore. You're speaking because you accept yourself. If your name were to be called by the stars right now, if it were whispered through the cards, would you recognize it? Would you say yes? Because when you do, everything changes. And if your heart just said, even silently, yes, then I invite you to write that truth below. I hear the call. I'm ready to answer. Let's continue. Because what comes next is the shift you've been waiting for. So here we are. After the soul's call and the truth of what's been weighing on you, let's talk about what's actually shifting now, not in theory, but in energy. There's something unusual about November 20th that isn't just coincidence or calendar fluff. Something in the sky is clicking into place, and if you're Leo, or if Leo lives strongly in your chart, this is going to hit you deeply. It might even make sense of things you couldn't explain until now. Let me start with the sun, your ruling force. It's not just your symbol, it's your engine, your heartbeat in the cosmos. On this particular day, the sun forms a trine with Venus, who happens to be gliding through Libra. And when these two connect like this, it's like the world exhales. The tension lifts. Things start to soften, warm up, realign. Trines don't push, they open. And when it's Venus, That's love, money, value, beauty, emotional clarity. It's peace after confusion. It's a yes after months of mixed signals. It's that accidental opportunity that lands in your inbox. The text you didn't expect. The closure you needed. And then there's Uranus. That planet doesn't knock. It just kicks open doors in the best way, when you're ready for it. It doesn't ask permission, because honestly, you've been praying for change even if you didn't know what form it would take. Uranus brings surprise, and when that shows up in a moment of cosmic harmony, it's often what I call a disruption that brings relief. You know that feeling when something breaks, but you secretly feel free because it needed to break? That's Uranus energy on the 20th. Something breaks open, not to harm you, but to release you. And then we zoom into the numbers. November 20th, 2 and 0 is already vibrating with connection, duality, reflection. The energy of relationships, choices, communication. It's about opening up instead of shutting down. And when you add the full date 20 plus 11, you get 31, which breaks down to 4. 4 is the foundation. It's stability. It's building something real after the fantasy fades. If you've been floating, waiting, hesitating, this is the day you can plant something that lasts. Put together, these elements, astrological and numerical, aren't just data. They form a pattern. And if you're paying attention to the signals, they line up with what your body, your intuition, your tired heart has already been whispering. It's time. Not time to burn everything down. Not time to run. But time to make a choice you can stand behind. Time to stop waiting for a sign and start trusting that what you feel is real. That you're not lost. You're just between chapters. And if you're still wondering whether this really applies to you, let me ask you this. Have you ever found yourself standing at a crossroads, not knowing which way to go, and suddenly out of nowhere life decides for you? That's what this energy feels like. Except this time, it's not chaos, it's alignment. If that hits home, I want you to write it below. Say it out loud. I welcome clarity. I trust where this is leading me. Because the more you affirm your readiness, the more you anchor yourself in the new energy that's coming, not as a reward for suffering, but as a natural return for your willingness to heal. Let's keep going. Because what comes after clarity is action. And that's where everything changes. You felt it, haven't you? That quiet, nagging weight in your body, not always pain, not always visible, but there. A low, constant pressure that keeps you from sleeping too deeply or breathing too fully. The truth is, for so long, you've been carrying more than just your own story. You've picked up pieces of other people's expectations, disappointments, moods, even their healing. You've been holding it all together for everyone else, sometimes out of love, sometimes out of guilt, and sometimes because you didn't know there was another way. But there is. And today, the 10 of Wands is showing up as a mirror, not a punishment. It's not saying you've done something wrong, it's gently asking, do you really have to keep carrying all this? And the answer, if you let it come honestly, might be a quiet, surprising no. That's the thing about this card. It doesn't show you drowning. It shows you choosing to hold on to too much for too long. You can be strong. You can be loyal. You can be the person everyone depends on. But still, you're allowed to set something down. You're allowed to breathe. And I want to tell you this from experience. The moment you realize some of the weight on your back was never yours to carry in the first place, something powerful shifts. You stop needing permission to rest. You stop confusing sacrifice with love. You start remembering that peace isn't something you earn, it's something you allow. So I want to invite you into a small practice, right now. Not because it's trendy or because it looks good in a journal, but because when we name what we've been holding, we take the first step in letting it go. Grab a piece of paper, or just close your eyes and repeat this softly. I am holding this because. And finish the sentence. Whatever it is, a role, a burden, a belief, bring it into the light. Then take a breath and say, I release this because I choose peace. There's something about saying it, writing it, letting your body hear the words, that signals to your energy field that you're ready to shift. And if you're working with colors, let gold and silver white light move through you the morning of the 20th. Imagine it moving through your chest and throat, clearing out old guilt, loosening the words you haven't said, and bringing oxygen back to the parts of you that forgot how to receive. And if you want a line to carry with you into that morning, keep this one close. I release what isn't mine to carry, and I walk forward with the lightness of a free soul. Don't overthink it. Just feel it. Let it wash through you like a breeze that finally opens the window after a long night. Maybe you don't have to fight so hard anymore. Maybe the idea of doing enough was never about how much you carried but how gently you let go. There's a quiet strength in surrender. Not the kind that makes headlines. Not the kind that looks like triumph. But the kind that changes everything inside of you without anyone noticing. And maybe that's the kind of breakthrough you needed all along. So let me ask you this: what are you still holding that you don't need anymore? If you feel ready to release it, let me know in the comments below. I'm done carrying what's not mine. And let's keep moving forward, lighter, clearer, and finally, breathing. There's a moment, and maybe this is it for you, when the fog begins to lift and everything you've been avoiding becomes impossible to ignore. The conversation you've been rehearsing in your mind. The boundary you've kept postponing. The truth you've swallowed again and again, thinking that if you just stayed quiet, things would fix themselves. But clarity doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It arrives when your spirit is finally ready to speak out, not with aggression, not with blame, but with a kind of loving precision that slices through confusion like light through heavy clouds. That's the gift and the challenge of the Ace of Swords. It's not here to make things easy. It's here to make things honest. And honesty, when it's born from the heart, has a power that doesn't need volume to be heard. You don't need to shout to make a difference. You don't need to argue to make your point. One sentence, spoken from alignment, can ripple through your life like a wave, not because it was loud, but because it was real. If you've been feeling that nudge, the inner pressure that something must be said or something must change, that's the energy of this card coming alive in your body. Maybe you've felt it in your throat, heavy or tight. Maybe your dreams have been trying to tell you what your conscious mind keeps setting aside. Either way, the message is this: you're not here to live in silence. You're here to live in truth. Now, let's make that truth less intimidating. Not everything has to be a dramatic confrontation. Sometimes the most powerful shift comes from a sentence you finally say to yourself. I don't have to shrink to keep this connection. I'm allowed to want more. This isn't working, and that doesn't make me a bad person. That's where it begins, with inner honesty. From there, outer clarity becomes possible. I want to invite you into a small, personal ritual for the night before this energetic window opens. Take a piece of paper and write one sentence that feels true to you. Maybe it's, "I choose truth," or "I'm ready to speak from my heart." Fold it gently, and place it under your pillow before you sleep. Don't force anything. Let the energy settle. Sometimes truth arrives through dreams. Sometimes through stillness. You'll know when it's time to act because the weight you've been carrying will suddenly feel too heavy to keep holding. And when that moment comes, I want you to remember this: your truth is not too much. Your boundary is not a burden. Your voice has value even if it shakes. What matters most is not how others receive it, it's how clearly and lovingly you choose to live it. So let me ask you something honest. What have you been meaning to say, and to whom? And what's held you back? If you feel ready, type just a few words in the comments, not the whole story, just the energy you want to step into. Maybe something like, "I deserve to be heard." Or, "I trust my voice." You don't have to explain it. Let it be your declaration, your line in the sand. Because truth isn't just a moment, it's a direction. And when you start walking in that direction, even one step at a time, life begins to organize itself around your clarity. The people who align will lean in. The ones who don't will quietly drift out. And through it all, you'll feel lighter, not because everything's perfect, but because you're finally walking with yourself, not against yourself. Let's keep going. You're doing beautifully. After the voice has been claimed, after the truth has been spoken, there's often a quiet pause. A kind of silence that settles in once the weight has been lifted. And in that pause, something else often reveals itself. Not noise. Not answers. But a presence. Maybe you felt it, too, a strange calm, a sudden warmth, a moment where something invisible makes you feel held. This is where the Queen of Cups comes in. And I want you to really sit with her energy for a moment. She doesn't arrive to command or correct. She shows up in the way a grandmother sits beside you when you're too tired to explain why you're crying. She's the warmth you feel when you wake from a dream you can't quite remember, but still lingers like a soft echo. She's the voice that doesn't speak in words, but in feeling. Steady. Soft. Steadfast. Energetically, the Queen of Cups represents the kind of love that doesn't ask you to earn it. She's the archetype of unconditional emotional presence. And whether you see her as a loved one who's passed on, a spirit guide, or simply the wisest part of your own inner world, her message is the same: you are not alone in this. There are things working behind the scenes for you. Protection you didn't realize you had. Guidance that arrived through detours and delays. And even in your hardest nights, the ones where no one knew how much you were holding in, that support was there. Maybe not loud, maybe not obvious, but real. I know it's easy to feel like you're walking alone, especially when your healing journey gets quiet or uncomfortable. But there are moments, and this may be one of them, where something larger than you is placing a gentle hand on your shoulder. Not to fix you, but to remind you that you've never been unseen. This energy is subtle. That's why we miss it. It doesn't shout. It doesn't push. It simply waits for stillness, for quiet, for that small window where your heart is open enough to feel it. And maybe that's now. So here's a practice I want to share with you, not as a requirement, but as an offering. Tonight, before you go to sleep, think of someone who once loved you with simplicity. Maybe they're no longer here. Maybe they are, but feel far away. Call their name quietly in your mind. Let it be a whisper, a memory, a thread. Then, write a sentence, something simple like, "Thank you for watching over me," or "I still feel you." Leave it near your window, where the moonlight can touch it. It's not magic. It's a moment of acknowledgement, of choosing connection, even in silence. Sometimes healing doesn't come from action. Sometimes it comes from being still long enough to feel supported. And if you need something to carry with you, let it be this: I am protected. I am not alone. Light surrounds me even when I cannot see it. Let that sentence settle into your nervous system, into your chest, into your breath. We live in a world that makes us believe we have to do it all alone. But the deeper truth, the one this card whispers, is that so much of what's beautiful, what's healing, and what's meant for us isn't something we chase. It's something we receive. So if something in you just softened just a little, that's all the sign you need. You're already held. Let's keep going. You're not alone here. Not now. Not ever. If you've made it this far, I want you to take a moment not just to think about what you've heard, but to actually feel it. Breathe it in. Let it settle. This isn't just a reading. This is a reminder. You're not here waiting for permission anymore. You're not here asking for a miracle. You've become the very thing you used to wish for, someone who can stand in truth, move from peace, and receive with grace. So ask yourself, gently, what part of you is finally ready to let go of the old stories? Which version of yourself are you ready to thank and lovingly outgrow? Is it the one who stayed silent when they wanted to speak? The one who gave too much without receiving? The one who believed they had to carry everything alone? Because now you know you don't have to be that version anymore. You are allowed to be free. You're allowed to say, "This isn't mine to carry." You're allowed to say, "I need a new path." You're allowed to say, "I am ready for joy, not later, but now." And if your voice shakes when you say it anyway. This moment, this reading was never meant to give you answers. It was meant to awaken something you already know. That truth is your ally. That love isn't something you earn. That alignment isn't a destination, it's a choice you make in small ways every day. And that your life, your work, your heart are all worthy of the light that's coming. So let this be your turning point. Not because the stars say so, but because your soul does. Tomorrow, Thursday, November 20th, is not just a date on the calendar. It's a gateway. One you don't walk through as a version of your past, but as the flame you were always meant to be. This is the moment where the old cycle ends, not with noise, but with clarity. Not with collapse, but with breath. And you don't have to walk through it alone. If something touched you today, if even one sentence whispered to a quiet corner of your soul, I invite you to say so in the comments. Anchor this moment by writing, "I welcome tomorrow, Thursday, November 20th, with an open heart and tears of joy." Not as a wish, as a decision. And if you haven't already, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness, and join the growing family of souls choosing to live more awake, more intentional, more free. This space is your reminder every week that your journey matters, and you never have to do it in the dark again. Because Leo, you are the sun. You were never meant to wait for light. You were born to shine. And tomorrow is your sunrise.